Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Got to go and pick my car up and that sparked off thoughts which come to this video, which is going to go round in a circle. You may find it interesting. There was a saying, I forget where I saw it, read it, whatever, but it struck me as being very true. Some guy rushes into the office an hour late for work and says, "Sorry I'm late, I've been stuck in traffic." And the boss looks round and says, "You are traffic." Think it through. If you're one of those stuck in that traffic, you are contributing. You are traffic. Now let's go back to my car, which I've got to go and pick up. And it's to do with the cost, the bill. When the guy phoned up to say it's ready, he apologised for the bill. He said, "I've just had a look back through," and he said, "If this work had been done 2 years ago, it would have cost this. And unfortunately today, I've got to charge you this." Now let's go back to the traffic. I had to have parts, mostly made of metal. Well, somebody had to dig that out of the ground. They need paying. The subject here is inflation, yeah? That dug out of the ground then has to be transported. That's drivers, truck companies, yeah? They need paying. That gets to places where things are made. The people that make things need paying. The people who run those companies need paying. Those goods are no good sat in the warehouse. They've then got to be transported to where people can sell them. The people that sell them need to be able to advertise their goods and their wares. That involves computer systems, websites. They need paying. And eventually my guy orders some parts and puts them in my car. And he needs paying, and so do his workforce. And every time, every element of that demands more money because of inflation, they create the very inflation that they're complaining about. You are traffic. It's as simple as that. And it goes round in circles. The more people demand, the more inflation goes up. The more inflation goes up, the more people demand. I don't see an answer to that. I'm not offering you an answer. I'm just going round the thought concepts, and now we get back to I'm going to pick my car up. It's a few pounds under £1,000 is what I'm now going to have to pay out of my bank account, which has had to come out of my savings. That's a large chunk to come out of my savings. Alternative, the car will fail its MOT, and if I can't get it repaired, it'll have to be sold as not far off scrap, because it'll be a non-MOT with a list of faults that somebody knows they're going to have to fix if they want that car back on the road. So I have to pay it. Now I have some savings. What would I do if I didn't have those savings? Well, that's the inheritance money from when my mum died. Those are my savings. What would happen if I didn't have those? I'd just have to sell the car, wouldn't I? I'd have to sell the car prior to having the work done. Or I'd have to make an arrangement with the guy to owe him the money until I've sold the car, to pay him. Yeah? And this is the situation people are getting in. This is why you've got people sleeping on the streets in sleeping bags and tents. Because they couldn't pay their rent, because the rent went up beyond what they could pay, and if you don't pay your rent you get kicked out. That's the private rent market. Why is the private rent market so high? Because the people who own the properties, all their bills have gone up, all their businesses and everything like that cost them more money, so they put the rent up. That is their business. And so it goes on, and I don't see an end to it. I really don't see an end to it. Our inflation's now down below the bank target of 2%. That doesn't stop things going up. They are still going up all the time. Nobody ever stops and says, well, hang on, if this, and this, and this, and this, shouldn't they go down? No. When can you remember that ever happening? When can you remember the insurance for your car year on year going down a reasonable amount? Your road fund tax, you remember that ever going down? Your fuel that you put in it, well, that goes up and down like a yo-yo as a consequence of global markets. Yeah? There's no one individual country that can control that, although one individual country had a major input to that, increasing the prices dramatically. That's still going on. Anyway, I'm stuck here waiting for a bus. I've got a bus pass, but I'm not allowed to use it until 9:30. There's a bus leaves the bus stop that I go to at 9:29. If I get on that one, I'll have to pay. So I've got to wait an extra half an hour for the one that's at 1 minute to 10, and then I can go and get my car. And well, you know, I can't. If I didn't have my car, there'd be no Orchid Society. There'd be no Orchid shows. All of that would go out the window. I wouldn't be able to fetch Hannah down. She wouldn't be able to visit. It takes all day to get down here by public transport and costs an absolute fortune. So, you know, there'd be so many things that would just stop if I didn't have a car. So I have to maintain a car. I have to accept those costs out of my savings as and when they occur. And there's certain things that you just don't seem to get any choices. And I'm going to add this comment on the end, and I hope it will not be true. But an individual, a single individual, is probably about to throw a country under the bus. Stupid people should not be allowed to vote. It's as simple as that. There should be some sort of qualification. Oh dear. Here's a statement for you on a lighter note. Around half the people you know are below average. I like that. Anyway, I'm going to process this and then get my coat on and go and get my car back. Okay, I've now got a very safe car. The guy hasn't been able to fix the door lock. He said I took the covers off and everything, and I've had a look, and he said there's something going wrong in the mechanical element of the car. He said it's not an electrical fault, it's mechanical. The electrics are telling the car door to lock, but unfortunately the mechanics are stopping it. So he said you need to get another unit for that door. And he said, for goodness sake, don't go to Volvo and get it. It'll cost you as much as the car's worth. He said, see if you can find one on eBay or something like that, or you know, at a breaker's yard. Just get a second-hand one. The chances of the same thing being wrong with it are virtually zero. So I've still got that to do. It means my driver's door doesn't lock. So when I go places and I leave the car, the driver's door's not locked. Now I never leave stuff in the car. So there's never anything in the car to actually steal, except the car itself, of course. Most people don't steal an old car with a dent in the front, you know. They want something nice and shiny and new if they're going to bother stealing it, so it's relatively safe. Plus I don't leave it many places where it's not safe. The Orchid shows, you know, these are sensible car parks, you know, lots of people around, all that sort of thing. Orchid Society meeting on Saturday, that's a private car park for the community hall. The only people in there are the people that are in the hall, if you see what I mean. So again, pretty safe. So yeah, I'll go and get my car. No orchids today, I'm afraid. I've done all my watering, I'm up to date with everything, and I've decided there's too much risk in repotting things this time of year. However, I am thinking about the Miltoniopsis, but I'm more inclined to think of them as being repotted after they've started to establish and have accepted or not this environment. A change of environment for some more sensitive plants can be their downfall, literally, you know, and they just don't take to it. So And certainly the ones I got from Burnham's, well, and the ones I got from Spices Otics, they've already had a lot of stress imposed on them by where they originated from to get to where I got them from to get to here, and everything in between. So they've already had a lot of stress in their lives, so it'd be nice to just let them settle in for a while with a constant environment that doesn't really change much. And without the heat stress that is often caused with often a result of Miltoniopsis. There is one species, maybe more, but the others I don't know about, but one species is Roselii, and the variety Xanthinia, which is the yellow version. Very rare, that one, but Spices Otics have got some. It's up for sale. You want to pay 40 quid for a tiny little plant, but you know, they are rare. But anyway, that one, the Roselii, is actually a warmer grower out of the out of the Miltoniopsis species. That one comes from quite a bit lower down. It still comes from very humid environments, but it comes from a lot lower elevations. So you've got to bear in mind the temperature controls when you're looking at, you know, from North America down through the jungle areas, you know, into the more lower areas of South America, where a lot of the orchids come from. You're looking at a change in environment that's quite dramatic. So you've got the equator, and then you go either side of that, it starts getting cooler, yeah, and the day length combination of, you know, short to long starts getting bigger as you get farther away from the equator. But you can also be on a mountaintop on the equator with snow. So you've not only got distance from the equator, doesn't matter which way you go, although that affects the seasons obviously, but you've also got how high up you are from sea level, which affects your temperature range. So it's quite a lot of variables going on. So saying that, you know, this orchid comes from this country, oh, that's got loads of rainforests in it, it must be really hot. Well, not if you go up the side of a mountain, it's not. So you have to bear those things in mind, where these things come from. And that Miltoniopsis does actually come from lower elevations, and the area of the world that it would come from would naturally be warmer than where the other Miltoniopsis species come from. But as I said, I'm not counting all of them because there's some I know nothing about, so I haven't come across them. So the ones I've got are the cooler growers. Right, let's go and get this processed, and then go and get my car and pay the ridiculous bill. The guy said a few years ago that this bill would have been £600 or £700, but he said just looking at the cost of the parts we've had to use, the labour costs and everything involved, it's now this is what I've got to charge. And he said I can see the dramatic increase in the cost of the parts. And like I said, you know, everybody that demands more money for their wages, for their remunerations, for their businesses, you are generating inflation. So you're part of it. You are traffic. Anyway, I'm off. I'll see you again. Tomorrow is a predictable video. It will be everything in bud, spike and bloom on the 8th. So that's tomorrow's video. So we'll have a look at some things to come and some things that are. We won't be looking at things that have been, but we will look at those and see where we are. And some things are hanging on for quite a long time. That's good. And as I've recently watered, I'm aware of where those sneaky little spikes and buds are hiding. So we'll have a look at that tomorrow, and yeah, I'll see you then. Bye for now.